Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Outcomes. I'm your host, Barrett King, and with me today is probably the most unique guest I've had on the show to date. Now, I've said a version of that before, but I think you'll all be surprised by how incredible Dan Tyre is. Dan is a founder, investor, advisor, like SaaS guru, and a longtime friend of mine. I think he's going to bring a really awesome perspective into how he thinks about partnerships and how those mechanisms throughout his career have helped businesses grow. So first, my friend, welcome to the show.
Wow. Keep going. That was a great intro. I ought to take you on the road with me. Amazing.
Record me. I'll be like the guy at all your speaking engagements now. That'll be fun.
All right. And it's mutual. It is mutual. That. Number one, I'm a huge Barrett King fan and have been even before we took a black pickup truck that drove it from Boston to Winooski Falls, Vermont.
That's right.
Right? I forget what year it was. And then I got to actually spend time with you. I remember you picked me up in my hotel at like 4:30 in the morning because it takes 3.5 hours to get there. And we had a great time. We talked all about partnerships. We talked about how important human beings are into partnerships, and happy to bring 20 to 25 minutes of that to this podcast today.
I love it. Man, God, just so much. I'm so ready for this. I love your energy. All right. So I got to ask you the question I ask everyone, which is, what does partnerships mean to you? Kick off there, and then we'll get into the topic at hand. But what does partnerships mean to you, Dan?
All right. So I did my homework because I'm Dan Tyre and I'm a prepper, not for like the end of the world, but for Barrett King's podcast. Partnerships, according to Wikipedia, collaborative relationships between two or more organizations. They're usually formed to pursue a set of goals or to meet a particular need that cannot be achieved effectively as one organization alone. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. It's concise. It makes sense. And like partnerships are super important in the 21st century. And you asked me my partnership superpower. Is that still on the agenda for today?
Yeah, I want to hear it. Let's go. That's great.
All right. It's experience. It's focus and results. Right. And the thing that I always take away in partnership conversations is they're essential, right? But they're hard, right? Partnerships are hard. And you know that because you're in the partner program for a long time. Everybody thinks you sit on your behind, right? And your partners do all the work, right?
Sure,
they just fax in.
Just hang out.
Yeah. For your young listeners, a fax used to be an old way in which you got a PO with somebody to send it to you. It's like an email or a text now, right? They're hard. They're expensive. They create conflict, right? The challenge of any kind of partner program is there for my entire 45-year business career. There has always been this tension between a direct sales force and a partner sales force. They change, right? Partnerships change all the time. But to be competitive in 2023, you have to have one. All billion-dollar companies have successful partner programs. So if you want to scale and grow to that size, you have to have it. So one of my superpowers is partnership experience. And as you know, from that 4-hour trip up to Vermont, right, I grew up in the partner program. I've always been a partner guy. And it started in my first startup, which is called Businessland. Went from $2 million in 1982 to $1.4 billion with a B, right, over 9 years. Until 1991. And they were an IBM reseller selling PCs in local area networks. And IBM had a very interesting both OEM as well as VAR as well as partnership program where they really leaned into really supporting their partners, right? Some of the best education I ever got on business, about understanding how to read a balance sheet, about accounting, about all this information came from the IBM partner program. And then in my second startup, ALI Technologies, I partnered with Lotus Development Corporation. This guy, Don Bulens, he was the head guy in Cambridge, Massachusetts, that rolled out a world-class partnership program. And I remember I was one of the first partners. I think it was probably 1992. I drove from Needham, Massachusetts, where I started the company, to Cambridge. I stood in his office. They were like 3 partners. I'm going to be your best partner over the next 5 years. And Don was very cordial and professional, and I'm sure he was rolling his eyes going, everybody tells me that. But 7 years later, I was the #1 Lotus Notes professional services organization, consulting organization, software training organization in the entire North America. And I learned so much there because the program went from a handful of partners to 100,000 partners, 9 years, like the inbound program that HubSpot has. They had Lotusphere. And every year we'd go down to Disney World in Orlando. And it kept growing and growing and growing. And I kept learning and learning and learning. And I saw all of this great, like knowledge about how to start a new partner program. And then when HubSpot rolled around, when I worked for Groove Networks, we got bought out by Microsoft. And so I was able to observe the Microsoft partner program, which was total education and super fun.
That's interesting.
And then when we it's just at a different level, right? Somewhere around hundreds of thousands of partners with different levels and different focuses and different niches. And that was amazing. And then when we started HubSpot in 2007, Pete Caputa, who was the brains behind the formation and the scale of the HubSpot partner program, they called it at the time, the precursor of the Solutions Partner Program, was amazing. We call him the Steve Jobs of Worcester because he saw how partnership could scale. And then I saw how Pete navigated through understanding how partners played such a critical role in marketing automation software and then the whole front office software. So my entire life has been dedicated to understanding how partner programs can really add value and really scale. And I've learned a lot of the foundations and lessons that we're going to talk about today.
Well, what do you think? That's interesting because you've got such a storied career in terms of every one of your transactions and transitions was through some form of partner, to your point. That channel opportunity at each was significant. Give me like 2 or 3, let's say, really simple core takeaways, because that breadth of knowledge is really interesting. And I'm sure you could spend an hour with me and give me hundreds. Give me 2, 3 anecdotal bits of feedback.
I only have 14 more minutes left, but that's exactly right. Number one, it's all about priorities, and you've heard that before, but you have to focus on what's important. One of the great things about being involved in multiple partner programs is I've seen a lot of great partner programs, but I've seen the exact opposite, right? And partnership programs don't just format and they just work, right? There are so many twists and turns. So you have to focus on the priorities and the things that are really important. And real partnerships have very specific criteria. And the best partnerships are a triangle, right? You have the customer at the top, you have the manufacturer on one side, you have the partner on the other. And it should be very obvious to everyone the value that each one creates in that triangle. And if it's not like obvious to everybody, to your mama, right, then it's not a real partnership, and you have to redefine the value that everybody's putting in. Sometimes it's just distribution, but in 2023, that doesn't last that long, right? For HubSpot, it's our software methodology, our best practices for selling and delivering its infrastructure. For our partners, HubSpot partners, it's the sales, delivery, the support, the skills, the customer intricacy, the dev resources, the integration skills, the problem solving, the account management, and that is so crucial. Are you kidding me? We could never, as a manufacturer, get to the level that a partner could get to really understand how to implement the technology into a specific industry vertical or a company. And for the customer, right, it's a little bit of combination of both, right? We want to make sure that the customer understands that we support our partners, that we have a commitment to partnership, that we work through our partners. And people always ask me at HubSpot, should I buy direct or I should buy through a partner? I'm like, if you're going to integrate into anything, which is 100% of our customers, you should buy from a partner, right? You can buy from direct, but it's better for you to buy through a partner because they'll understand all the things you're doing today. They'll make it work for you.
Yep. Absolutely.
And most importantly, this is the thing that gets lost with people who have some level of experience, because in the old days, you just bought the product. Right? Today, you're buying a changing product that is going to go through rapid change. And if you have somebody who can see the future, can see around corners, who has a little bit more experience, can lead you down that path, it's going to save you a ton of time, effort, and money. And you're going to have a much better experience of getting what we call time to value. The whole thing in 2023 is everybody wants it quicker, faster, better. Right? And when you're dealing with a multi-billion-dollar technology company, quicker, faster, better takes a little bit of time. When you're dealing with a smaller organization that's focused on your particular company and vertical, man, it's a lot easier to understand than to go back to work with that technology company to deliver a world-class experience.